Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Unitrends webinar. I'm your host today, Max Francisco, Customer Marketing Manager here at Unitrends. On today's session, we are launching our new product, Unitrends Helix. Helix is artificial intelligence for your backups to automatically remediate the most common issues that are faced by IT administrators when managing backups. Um, Today's webinar is presented by the one and only Jordan Warsaw. He's our channel sales engineer. Um, as usual, feel free to send your questions as we are presenting. And we will also have a Q&A session towards the end, but we can, start answering your questions as we go. So having said that, we are ready to start, Jordan.
Awesome, and a good afternoon to everyone. And hi, welcome. Hope everyone's keeping safe and, secure and keeping their social distance and being healthy and all of that. What a world we're living in, making things quite a bit different. So what I want to talk about is this brand new product Unitrends rolled out during these Corona times, actually, that basically allows us to automate some certain, I think, bad things Max mentioned. Automate certain tasks to help fix backup failures before the failures happen. What? How do you do that? That's a great question. So I'm going to answer it's Helix. What is Helix? I'm going to talk about what Helix is now, what Helix is going to be in the future, how do we solve those problems, how to get more information about Helix, and I'm going to talk briefly about the promotions as well. So before I begin, as you know, I like talking about kind of the situation. The situation for admins, this is more so yesterday, because it's a little bit different nowadays, but last year, 42% of people were hit with downtime. Today, that has gone up much more due to the drastically different environment that IT is currently managing. Data loss actually is high, even as a result of these outages too. And frankly, admins see that if you can't recover if a backup fails, and IT hates wasting time troubleshooting backup issues, because it's to prevent something bad from happening, the remediation to something bad. So it's kind of one of those scenarios where it's like, it doesn't provide any value directly, it's an indirect value, and fixing a backup issue is like a tertiary thing. So it's not seen as necessarily productive as cost saving or revenue generating. So all sorts of issues do plague every backup vendor, frankly. VSS errors, networking issues, all sorts of things. So current solutions today, they can't control or manage the environment or fix environmental issues. All of them stay out of production by design. You don't want your backup device messing around with production. You want it to be out of band so you have a low impact. But the issue then arises that you might have a situation that the backup could easily fix, but isn't capable of doing so. Enter Helix. What Helix is, it's a self-healing tool for your backups. The way it works is any of your components, a virtual server, physical server, a Unitrends backup appliance, or even a laptop, can all utilize the Helix agent, which will connect back to our central Helix cloud. And basically, the cloud solution is going to provide remediations for backup failures before they even happen. So the agent will sit there and just quietly detect, and if there's a scenario that it knows where a backup will fail, for example, a VSS writer's in a failed state, it's going to automatically restart that VSS service for you. So instead of having to wait till the backup fails, being exposed out of compliance of your RPO, going in, taking the time to fix it, then waiting for another backup to run. Instead, in this scenario, bada bing, bada boom, you're able to automatically take care of that recovery here, and the backup will actually run no problem. So what happens instead of getting a backup failure, your backup succeeds, and it's able to fix it before the problem even happens. And that's really neat. That's a whole other level of value. So here's an example. Eddie, our IT admin, based out of our Boston office, comes into work. There was a backup failure, but the backups ran successfully because he saw an email alert that Helix found that VSS services were hung, and Helix successfully restarted those services. Didn't restart the machine, no impact to production. We just restarted those services, and Eddie gets his far more interesting projects done. The backup ran successfully. Helix fixed it, and Eddie literally had no impact. Instead, where normally Eddie would have to go in, see that a backup failed, go in, spend his time fixing it, and then getting back to the project if there's time left. Instead, in this scenario, Eddie literally didn't have to do a single thing. So Helix is changing. It's a SaaS service. So we begin with some things today, and more is coming down the future, automatically going to be added every time we see something that can be scripted and easily remediate those backup issues. So today, we're fixing issues with VSS, one of the most common things. There's over 30 different services we're going to check for in those dependencies and reboot them in case we see them in a failed or hung state. So it's those VSS services, and this works both on a physical or virtual machine. And if the VSS is in a non-working state, the backup fails. We also, included for free, are going to automatically update the appliance. So Helix is sitting either on your physical servers, your virtual servers. It also sits on your Unitrends appliance. And out-of-date software is a security risk as well as a feature risk. There could be bugs and zero-day exploits that are patched. Helix can automatically detect when there is an appropriate window to update an appliance and do it for you automatically. And I'll actually show you how easily you can actually set that up today. Everyone that has 10.4 and newer actually has Helix in there and ready to go. What can Helix do later? So we're looking at setting up custom appliance configurations, disk space, network, and authentication checks to make sure that the system has the space and the resources to take a backup. We're even looking at triggering automatic recovery, where if the physical server fails, Helix can detect that and trigger an instant recovery, reducing the downtime for an admin. And that way the server's brought back up and online quicker, and the admin can work on alleviating the situation rather than having to mess around with what VM is doing this or that, or even a physical server. So how does it work? It's basically a cloud-based management platform that uses an agent that runs on Unitrends appliances as well as those protected assets, Windows today, but we're looking to expand to other operating systems in the future. It's going to monitor, detect, and remediate issues that typically require manual intervention, and then sends an email alert directly to the user when any remediation action takes place. And we're going to quickly teach it to learn many more use cases. So it's super easy, working behind the scenes to take care of whatever you might need. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at how to enable that piece. So here I'm going to log in. This is my local Unitrends physical appliance. The way you do it is to enable. There's no alerting or any kind of status window or anything like that. Basically, once you have it enabled, it quietly works in the background and then emails you when any alleviating action takes place. So Helix will email you, and I'll show you how to set that up. It'll basically email you, hey, we are configured and we fixed a VSS error, or hey, we noticed that there was this issue, or we updated the appliance. So here I'm going to go to my most recent asset. What I do is I come to the appliance itself. I'm going to go to Advanced, and we enable Helix under the Support Toolbox. From here, once it loads, you're going to look for the items named Helix. And there's both the standard Helix, the Helix agent status I can see. The agent is not running, so I can go ahead and click this to turn on or off Helix. And then I can turn on or off the auto-updating feature. So, for example, if I'm not a currently purchased customer, I can simply turn on the update. Now, boom, Helix Auto Update is enabled, and I can check the status, and we are on. I can turn this back off, and now I'm no longer doing the auto update. Very easy to be able to click this right here in the support toolbox. Those emails we talked about that are remediating, those are over here under the email. This first email address does not require SMTP. We're going to use the Helix Cloud server to send an email to say, hey, evaluations@unitrends.com. We noticed there was an issue and we resolved it, or we have updated your appliance during this quiet window that looked good for updating the appliance. Something like that is all available right within here. It's really neat. Super easy to be able to come and get this and move on. That's where the email reports, and the emails are super simple. It's, hey, this asset, this remediation. Move on with your day. This asset, this remediation. You could also point those emails to a ticketing system, automatically kind of get that alert status. You don't necessarily need to create a remediation or to check on it, but it's a great way to kind of keep track of that as well. So if you have multiple email addresses, Helix will automatically send it to the top email address. That's kind of the default, and it'll always send it to there. Awesome. So the auto update feature is included at no additional cost. If you're looking for the VSS solving as well as future backup failure prevention methods, you will need to look at an add-on subscription. It's a subscription model. We have assets. We have licenses for both our physical appliance and our virtual appliances. However, the appliance updating portion is available for free today. So if you go in today, you do not have Helix, you can turn on the agent, turn on auto updates, check that status, and that's available at no additional charge. If you're looking for the VSS remediation and other preventative backup failures, that's where the paid service comes into play. And if you're interested in it, we're actually providing a 1-year free promotion with a 3-year contract. Basically means that for 3 years, you only have to pay for the 2nd and 3rd year. So you get to use it for a whole year for free while we build out the feature, while we're building out additional features, not to mention VSS is one of the most complicated and convoluted issues that we tend to see. And that's really it. Helix is a really cool, easy to use solution that can enable so many ways to just make backups easier. It literally cuts down on time spent having to manage a backup failure by preventing the backup failures in the first place. So we're trying to serve a broader landscape. We worked mostly in the data center. Now we're looking at the edge and the cloud with our UCB and now Helix. We're trying to take this new technology that changes our story by moving faster than ever. We're driving our differentiation by helping people, by helping infrastructure, expertise. We're shorting down processes that your techs are required to do and instead letting them work on more revenue generating as well as just projects that are going to be more helpful. That's the whole idea. Instead of having to mess around with backup projects, move on to something far more exciting. That's the whole idea. We're trying to evolve and develop as much as possible to make your lives easier and quicker. So with that, that's what I got on Helix. Brand new tool, going to make life so much easier. I'm going to open it up for any questions that may have arisen during the presentation, but I want to thank you so much again for your time and interest. I love talking about all the new stuff we have. We got Unitrends Cloud Backup we talked about last time. We got new Helix product that makes supporting it easier, not to mention all these new 10.4 pieces that really, I think, are trying to take things to the next level. Not that we weren't, it's the next level. So we're already, you know, kind of the first in line. No one else out there is offering anything like this today, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'll hand it back over to you, Max, if there's any questions that have come in that I can help address related to Helix or not related to Helix. I'm game to answer questions about anything that may come up.
All right. Yeah, we do have a few questions already. You know, it seems that people really do want to know about this. So first question is, how is Helix secured in your data center and the protection of our data?
Great question. So no data is actually sent out to the Helix Cloud server. It's communicated over port 5761, and that's just purely, hey, what are new scripts or other remediations, or what are things to look for, so it can kind of learn and grow. And then it also just sends out that information for an email. Other than that, VSS is kind of sitting, grabbing the packet, the package, the updates, and moving on. So there's really no data that gets out to the cloud. It all is staying local on those assets. But all communication is secure and encrypted in transit, so there's nothing really to any more exposure than you should be configured for already. Great question.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And the other question we have is, you've mentioned VSS remediation. So does it heal SQL servers as well?
So not yet. We're looking at some options with that. Some VSS failures do impact SQL databases as well. So this could alleviate those scenarios where the VSS writers failed and it can't quiesce, because VSS does call the quiescing for SQL, but in some cases. But that being said, not every case necessarily is using it, so we're looking at options with that. But as of today, just the standard 28 to 30 VSS services is what we're scanning, checking for status, and rebooting today. But by all means, let us know if there's certain things and services you'd be interested in seeing more options around. We'd be happy to explore and see if it makes sense.
Okay. We do have two questions here that are similar. They would like to see again where Helix is located in the web interface of the appliance. And the other one is, you know, can you go over enabling this again? So I guess it's, you know, it's related. So where to find it and then how to enable
Sure.
it.
Go one more time. Under here, and this is, by the way, is available on our website. If you look for Helix, there's a Helix release doc as well as in our release notes. It goes through how to enable Helix as well. But I'm happy to show it as well here. And this is being recorded, so if you want to watch it and hear my silly diatribes, you can do it again. So I'm going to go to the Configure tab, and I'm going to select the appliance. Just note 10.4.4 is the most recent version. It's easier in 10.4.4. If you're at like 10.4.2, there's a slightly different process that involves adjusting the INI. Not too difficult, but if you do, I just reach out to support. But here, I'm going to go to the appliance. It's 10.4.4. I'm going to edit, advanced, support toolbox. I'm looking for the support toolbox. And literally hiding under the support toolbox is something called Helix Agent and Helix Auto Updates. So first, I want to make sure that the Helix Agent is turned on. And I can check the status by clicking this. I'm going to turn Helix on, and then Helix Auto Update would enable just that auto updating feature. So I can see the agent status. It's running. So if I was a paid version of this, it would be checking for those errors and stuff like that. And the auto update status is off. So I'm not currently enrolled for auto updates. If you are on 10.4.2, you'll turn Helix on in here. And then to adjust it, you're going to go into the general configuration and search for Helix and set the flag to yes. So I believe I'll show you Helix Auto Update. You set this to yes is the way you would do that if you were in before 10.4.4. If you're in 10.4.4, recommend doing it with the easy way in the support toolbox. Awesome. So once again, configure, appliance, edit, advanced, support toolbox.
Okay. Yeah, we do have another question, related to that. We said, question is, said people that have 10.4 already have Helix, and it's just a matter of activation. Now, what about people that have older appliances?
So this does require Unitrends 10.4 to be able to deploy Helix. We can run on older hardware, so any generation of appliance that's still active support contract can use Helix today. It's just a matter of getting the Helix subscription, or the auto updates will be included as well.
Okay. We do have a few other questions, so that's very interesting. So the other question we have is, besides checking that VSS is running and perform auto updates, what are we going to be paying for?
Yeah, that's great. For today, that's what's included. We're going to be, in the future, that's where we're adding in the automated failover piece. We're going to be adding in additional pieces. Like, I can't even predict the ones we're coming in, because what we're doing is our support team is now looking at, we have a brand new tool. We're looking at common backup failures, and if we're seeing these easy fixes, we're going to then apply that and develop a whole, additional way. So it's kind of one of those, we developed it and released it this way, in a way that's super flexible to add more and more features. So today, VSS failures and auto updates. We're looking at network monitoring, disk space monitoring to make sure there's enough space to take certain backups, as well as performance overhead and stuff like that. So that, let's say, the CPU is being taxed heavily and the backup would struggle to get the cycles needed to run. We could potentially proactively either alert or remediate it by seeing if there's something we should prevent, stuff like that, to try to get ahead of those kind of failures too. So really the answer is, if you bought it today, that's why we have a 1 year. The first year is free. You're getting the VSS updates, but by the end of the year, we're looking for far more options that are going to be able to alleviate so many of the backup failures. And honestly, most people that I've talked to don't get a ton of backup failures. The whole idea is to remediate any that do come up. So if you have older environments or stuff that tends to be a little more persnickety when it comes to backup failures, that's where the advantage is going to lie. And we're constantly going to be researching and adding more and more. And honestly, most people I talk to don't really have a ton of backup failures. It's just preventing those times that do, so that you're not exposed.
Okay. Yeah. Another question here. Does Helix add any overhead to my IT administrators? Do they have anything else to configure?
No, it's a great question. The entire Helix configuration is what I showed you. Click that, turn it on. You'll never have to update it. I won't say never, but you shouldn't have to ever update it. It'll take care of itself. It'll constantly be grabbing scripts from the mothership and updating and learning as to what ways are going to be better for all sorts of different recoveries. So long answer is no. If anything, this actually, we've seen, especially in large-scale deployments or people who are managing multiple customers, they've seen that this will actually, in fact, reduce the amount of overhead significantly. So instead of having someone go in and every single failure have to actually do something, this will actually prevent the number of tickets created that are actually not billable or chargebackable in some enterprises, and really enable a way for our end users to move on with, frankly, not worrying about backups. That's the whole idea. Do less with backups by using Unitrends.
Okay.
Worry more about recovery should it happen.
Yeah. So the other question we have is, what about alerts? How to deal with them? Are they going to flood my mailbox? What is the,
Yep.
what about alerts? That's the question.
Good question. So alerts are purely those email alerts. There's no other ways. You're not going to get a, hey, everything's okay alert. You'll only see an alert today if action is taken and where the action was taken. So it's kind of sitting in the background. We want to make it as quiet and non-intrusive as possible. And basically a way you can just go and worry about the other things. Hey, you got Helix. We're going in, and anytime it fixes something, we'll be like, hey, just so you know, we did this. Thank you. Or not thank you, you're welcome. You'll say thank you to the email.
Perfect. Yeah, so I guess the last question we have here, unless we get more, is let's see. So does the auto update feature work on 10.4.3, but you need 10.4.4 for the other Helix features?
All Helix features are enabled with any version of 10.4. The auto update is just easier to access in 10.4.4. If you're in 10.4.3, you take the same steps, but you add the you just have to add in that step of editing the master.ini. Whereas in 10.4.4, I have that box that says auto updates are here.
Gotcha.
So it's just a different step. So in 10.4.4 is just easier. If you're on 10.4.3, update, and it's going to be quicker. Or you can enable auto updates and have it do it for you too. It's the option with 10.4.3. You just have to basically do two steps. So instead of doing this, after you do the support toolbox of turning on the agent, you're then going to come to the general configuration and turn it on too.
Perfect. Yeah, so we do have one more question. And it's from Jay. He has a lot of questions today. So thanks, Jay.
Great.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the participation. So his question has to do with alerts. So his question is, is there an email alert that is sent automatically when the auto update feature is turned on, or do we need to configure an alert?
No, that the alert will be sent automatically. All Helix actions that are taken will automatically be emailed and sent to you. No configuration needed.
Perfect. Let's see. We do have another one. Two more. All right. Perfect. All right. Does this auto update the agents as well?
It's a great question. We're working on that. As of today, it does not yet. Today, it is just updating the appliance. And the reason for that is it's pretty easy to update the agents. They kind of can self-update by coming here to the protected assets. You can update all agents. This can push out in most scenarios the update as needed, but we're looking at potentially automatically doing that as well. But that's something that's going to be a future option. Unclear if that'll be included in the free tier or if that'll be included with the paid tier. Keep your ears and eyes open for announcements around that.
Perfect. Yeah, another one from Paul. Are there additional firewall ports that need to be open to allow Helix to work?
Yep, there is Yes, there is a port you can check. I believe it's 5761. It's all part of the release notes for Helix, and those are available on the website if you want to get if you want to grab the info of the new Helix pieces.
Okay.
So the 10.4.4 will have that information, the 10.4.4 release notes.
Gotcha. So, all right, last one here. How quickly should my appliance get updated for 10.4 to 10.4.3 to 10.4.4 with Helix Auto Update turned on? This way I can know it is working.
That's a really good question. So it uses your backup schedule and the load to kind of balance and determine the best time to update. If you note, I think the rule of thumb we're giving, if it's been about, the issue is when you install it, it still has to do some learning, so it may not do it immediately. I would say, and I know this is a little bit long for this release, because after you deploy it, it takes some time, I would consider going up to 10.4.4, enabling it. We say within a week or two. If it hasn't updated, it means it can't find a good window, and go ahead and you'll have to just manually kind of kick one off. It depends on your backup schedules and everything like that, because it needs a free moment where it's not going to interrupt backups as well as, actually, yeah, just not interrupt your backups. You can't run the update. You have to disable all the backups to run an update.
Awesome. Yeah, great. This was awesome, Jordan. Yeah, we had lots of questions, so everybody stayed all the way to the end. I'm going to end this Power Half Hour here, and I would like to thank everybody that participated with us. Again, talk to your account managers if you guys are interested in in this product, and they can give you more information about it, and licensing and pricing and all of that. And just again wanted to thank Jordan as well for this presentation. Okay, Jordan. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Yep.
And sane.
That's right. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.